Yes. So our next match. Yes. So our next match, I wanted to make sure. I'm like, I think this was right.
There were 5 matches in total.
I know.
Process of elimination.
I struggle. So Raquel Gonzalez defending the NXT Women's Champion against Ember Moon. This match was really good.
It was.
I was a little worried about this. So Raquel Gonzalez, even though that she is like the hottest thing in women's wrestling, at least NXT is concerned, she's still sort of green. She's
still trying to figure out her way.
And with Ember Moon, I have never seen Ember Moon carry a match. She was usually in a match with either a tag team or somebody who was more experienced than her, like Asuka. So I was a little concerned about it. But they pulled off
Ember Moon did a great job of carrying the match.
Yes. Raquel Gonzalez looked great. Even, she was strong. She looked strong. She looked really good. No really big fuck-ups at all. I did like Dakota Kai's little, interference, and then Shotzi actually returned and attacked Dakota Kai, so I really like that progression. And what a cool way to flip into the single-legged powerbomb. It was really great. Peanut Gallery was making dinner, so...
I missed most of this match.
I think you missed all this match.
Anyways, it looked good from where I saw it. So.
But Raquel is still the women's champion. I thought that was a right call.
That was the right call for sure.
It was definitely the right call because they really need to push her a lot more. And we're definitely going to see where this goes. We're probably going to see a rematch at some point in time.
Yep.
Between these two because this match was that good. But we'll really see. But now it's time for the main event. All right, so we are not only going to make NXT Majestic again, but we're going to make Pro Wrestling Majestic again. So number one, before we get into this, with Tom Pettengill, that was fucking awesome.
Oh, God, yes.
Every segment that he was in, it was great. He had a VHS and about to put in some B-roll, and I love the the total blind ignorance.
Right.
It was so great. His stuff with Dexter Lumis was so spot on. It was just magic.
You have a problem with the women?
Right. That's how you make this shit majestic again. That was majestic. That's how you make this majestic again. And that's how you see, that is how you do wrestling comedy. It is funny. It's very subtle to the situation. And it doesn't seem... It's a hokey, but it's not like I'm trying to be serious hokey.
Right.
And I love it.
Right.
The NXT In Your House presentation, with the logos and the old school intro and everything, because it's supposed to be a throwback.
Right.
And they just did it right.
Yep. There were no stupid interviews in the middle or anything. It was
there were some, but when they did, it was fun.
Right.
It was good. It was organic. It felt nice.
It felt like it was natural.
Absolutely.
It's not like those stupid, you know how WWE does those stupid interviews right after the match takes place?
Or in the middle of an entrance, right after an entrance is done. It's really stupid. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, none of that happened. But that was great. So let's talk, well, maybe not that one first. Let's talk about the 6-man. Here's my thing.
I wouldn't change anything about the match itself. I think the rivalry... Actually, this is probably the strongest rivalry.
I think this was the strongest rivalry going into this.
I wouldn't mind if they just continued this. I love this.
Yep, I wouldn't change it.
They could face one another 10 times.
And I think with a takeover, having the 6-man tag with all the belts on the line, I loved it. I thought this was great. I would have done pretty much the same thing, if not something slightly different. But I thought it was a great segue. I really enjoyed this. I wouldn't change it, honestly.
Xia,
yes.
So here's the thing, is I didn't like the premise going into this.
The premise going into it was weird because they changed it.
Yes.
At first, they had some subtle hint with Meng going after Mercedes Martinez.
Right.
I wish they had I kind of wish they hinted at that a little bit more than they did. The match itself was booked.
I love doing the Mia Ying versus Mercedes Martinez.
They're probably going to do that at WrestleMania's Takeover.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yep.
But I didn't like the way that they set it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this was weird. I just would have done something different. They shouldn't even have mentioned the Mae Young Classic shit unless they did it beforehand, and they didn't. And I even looked, they didn't. So this made no sense to me. I would have just...
But Mae Mercedes Martinez... I love the segue that they did.
I felt like they jumped into this too quickly because they only started this program like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's probably a problem too.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I need some more subtlety. I need like another month and a half of subtlety.
Right.
And then this match would have been so much more intrigue.
Right.
The match itself was good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done anything differently. Mercedes losing was weird. I thought that one was kind of weird, but I guess because Xia needed that win back, and then Mercedes still looked strong. I'm not saying that she didn't, but the loss did not help.
No.
And that was kind of my issue there. The match that... So, number one, Cameron Grimes should have won.
Only because you would have retained the championship had that happened. However, this made no sense. Why are you bringing the $1 million championship back?
Why is LA Knight involved in this?
Right.
Unless Ted DiBiase chose LA Knight to represent him in some sort of match. Because Ted DiBiase obviously cannot wrestle anymore.
Right.
And that's fine. I don't mind.
It just makes no sense.
Right. I do not mind having a surrogate in there in Ted DiBiase's place. If that was it, LA Knight was the right choice. When was there ever a point in time that LA Knight promoted himself as a rich guy?
Right.
I don't remember that at all during Impact. I don't remember that at all during his first part in NXT at all.
It just doesn't make sense.
It just happened because they wanted to use LA Knight, and I feel like that is the incorrect way of doing a show.
Yeah.
They should have did this a little bit more subtle, a little bit longer bit of time. Maybe even say, I'm worth $1 million. No, I'm worth $1 million. Then you do it?
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
But they just kind of shoehorn this in because reasons.
Insert it in for reasons to have something to do with Ted DiBiase and his $1 million championship.
There's a way to do this without it seeming so forced, and they did it.
It was so forced.
And that was my problem. Other than that, the match itself was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was a great match. And I just really loved it. The other women's match, yes, thank you. So,
Raquel, so I like this. This is an extension.
I like this. Yep.
This is an extension of the rivalry between
the teams. Yep. Obviously with Shotzi.
However, I wonder if the teams overshadowed the match itself.
I think so. Here's my thing. So number one, Shotzi shouldn't have returned. Number two, Dakota Kai shouldn't have been out there in the first place. I think it actually devalued Raquel a little bit with the interference there because here's the thing. Raquel Gonzalez is still fairly new, and this was, I believe, her first defense with the NXT Women's Champion.
She's still fairly green.
She's still fairly green, yep.
Her prove herself against a veteran like Ember Moon, but Raquel, to me,
there was a lot of interference, and that was a problem.
Champion. She just doesn't have that material. Ember Moon has that material. Raquel Gonzalez, I just don't see it yet.
Here's my thing. They kind of booked themselves into a corner because Io Shirai beat everybody.
Right.
And Raquel, being that big powerhouse muscle woman, was the only person who could theoretically take that belt. And that was fine. I thought they did that great, and it was a great match. And like this one was. This was a great match, and we're not taking anything away from Raquel Gonzalez. I mean, she's actually probably one of my favorite females in NXT right now. I think she's good. I will disagree with you at least to a point. I think Raquel Gonzalez's problem right now is her character work. Yeah. I think physically she's imposing. She is.
But she has no character outside of Dakota Kai.
Right.
Dakota Kai is the character for this team.
Exactly. And that's a problem.
Yes.
It's like, why is Raquel... Okay, so here's my thing. If they were going to have the NXT Women's Champion on Dakota Kai or Raquel Gonzalez, why isn't it with Dakota Kai?
Right.
Who it should have been in the first place.
Right.
Because, you know what? Dakota Kai is the leader of these two.
Yeah.
Kai brought Raquel in.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. It should have been... now, Raquel Gonzalez should have interfered in the Io Shirai match for Dakota Kai to win the Women's Champion. Then you have an instant program with Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai.
Right.
Great match. Prove yourself there. Don't have the title. No title picture at all.
Right.
And you still sell some tickets. But then you have Dakota Kai versus Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Champion. You make some money there because Dakota Kai is great.
Exactly.
The problem is that they just put the championship on the wrong girl.
Yep.
Honestly. And now maybe another year or two when there's a little more character development there, I think Raquel is a future. I think she is.
Yeah.
But I just think she's this champion way too soon.
Yep.
Other than that, I really can't say too much about it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
All right, so
Main
the
events.
one that you just want to trash so hard.
Karrion Kross. Okay, so next time you do a match like this, it should be everyone but Karrion Kross. I know Karrion Kross is the champion. Karrion Kross is a great champion. But I want to see Adam Cole, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, and Johnny Gargano in a 75-minute match, and they just do all sorts of shit to each other, and it's going to be fucking amazing.
Here's my thing. Here's how you make this fucking majestic again. You have, at the next NXT, or whatever's going to happen later, an hour-long Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah.
I want an Iron Man Fatal 4-Way between
my God,
those
that
four.
would be amazing.
Number one contender. You establish a number one contender right there and then for Karrion Kross. Here's my thing. I just don't think they had a decision on who was the actual number one contender. That's why they did this, bag full of bananas. I don't know why I said that. But
Which was a mistake. It was a mistake to have a Fatal 5-Way. To me, that just says we don't know.
Right.
It just says, I don't know who the championship contender is. Dude, you find out who the championship contender is.
Right, with a big match between the four obvious top contenders.
Right, it's not that hard.
It's really not. And here's my thing. It was a good match. I really liked this match.
Honestly,
I wouldn't have booked
It
this
should have been Adam Cole, baby.
to win.
Adam Cole, it should have been Adam Cole versus Karrion Kross. Adam Cole is the face of NXT, and Karrion Kross is the champion.
Right.
And I want to see that match.
I mean, we'll probably see at some point in time, but once again, I mean, they made this match because obviously it gets the most intrigue, and I feel like execution-wise, it exceeded my expectations tenfold. I thought even with Karrion Kross's very minimal involvement, I think that was the right call.
It was.
Just because he has a much
Just
different...
because everyone wanted to see the four. They didn't want to see Karrion Kross necessarily. But, again, a mistake.
It was a mistake, and I thought that it was a fine match. Karrion Kross still champion is fine, but the problem is now...
Who's next?
Right, who is next to take him on? If you do a Fatal 4-Way between these guys like I did, then you're fine, because then you can book it for WrestleMania's TakeOver.
Or
then
SummerSlam. Well, I guess they're not doing a SummerSlam TakeOver.
They're not doing a SummerSlam TakeOver, because this was a SummerSlam TakeOver.
Right. You're talking about Great American Bash then, because that one's happening in July.
Well, that's a special. That's not a TakeOver.
Well, they're doing the Great American Bash in July.
Would you really think they're going to do an NXT title match at a Great American Bash?
Yeah.
Well, they probably would, because they're morons.
They're going to.
Yeah, because they're fucking morons. Maybe have the Fatal 4-Way match at Great American Bash. Book a good little series between them. Whoever do elimination, do whatever, see what happened, blah blah blah. Do that Fatal 4-Way at Great American Bash.
Yep.
And then you book it for TakeOver whenever that is next, either the Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble. One of those two.
Yeah.
There you go. That's how you make pro wrestling majestic.
That's how you print money.
Oh yeah. So, thank you all for listening to this.
What is on the agendas for next week?
So next week is all about Hell in a Cell. So
Nick.
Oh yes.
I'm not looking forward to that
I'm
one.
so looking forward to it.
And obviously we got our usual
I'm a masochist.
lesson. We have our
we have our wrestling lesson where we're heckling from the heart camera. It's all going to be just so much fun. If you did enjoy this, remember to subscribe, like the video. I mean, we've had 20 new subscribers, so thank you all for subscribing. Share it with your friends. Comment down below if you enjoyed either TakeOver or Dominion. Let us know what you think or what your booking decisions would be. And become a patron. The more patrons we get, we add shows, starting with Impact Plus specials.
Woohoo!
And guess what? It's $5 for everybody. There are no other tiers. If you feel like you enjoy this video enough to support that, go ahead and do so. We have some great stuff. And as always, be
majestic.